Hi everyone, welcome to Go Classes. In this session, we are going to discuss all UGC NET previous year questions from this topic normal forms. So let's start the session now. Let's solve this UGC NET question. Match the following: column A, column B. So two columns are given to you. Now we have to match the following. So let's see. Determinant. What is a determinant? Determinant, this is basically the LHS of any functional dependency. So let's see what is this determinant. You can see if you have a functional dependency x determining y. Okay, how do you read this? We read this as x determines y. Correct? X determines y. So here this x is determinant. Okay, remember this LHS, this x is determinant and this y is dependent. Okay, so whenever you have this type of functional dependency, x determines y. So here you can see this functional dependency, we will read like this: x determines y, x determines y. So this x is the determinant. Okay, this x will be called determinant. So the LHS of functional dependency is called determinant and this y is dependent. Okay, so here you can see determinant, that is group of attributes on the left hand side of arrow of functional dependency. So I can say that this one will match with D. Yes or no? Determinant will match with D because you can see group of attributes on left hand side of arrow of functional dependency. So that is your determinant. So this one is going to match with D. Let's see the next. What is candidate key? Candidate key will uniquely identify a row. Yes or no? So I can say that 2 will match with B because candidate key, this has the property that this will uniquely identify a row. Okay, this is the property of candidate key. So I can say this 2 will match with B. Let's see, we will see this non-redundancy, but before that, let's see what is functional dependency. This functional dependency, this is an integrity constant between two set of attributes. Yes or no? So you can see this this functional dependency, this is a constraint between two attributes, or I can say this is an integrity constraint between two set of attributes. Okay, so I can say that 4 will match with option C. Yes or no? Now let's see this third one. What is this non-redundancy? Okay, this non-redundancy, let me tell you. You already know the definition of candidate key. What is the definition of candidate key? Tell me. The definition of candidate key, that is minimal super key. Yes or no? That is a minimal super key. Correct? Okay. Now remember this super key. What this implies? This implies uniqueness. Yes or no? This super key implies uniqueness. Means this, because of this super key, I can say that we can uniquely identify tuples. Yes or no? Okay, so this super key means uniquely identify tuples. We can uniquely identify tuples. Okay, very simple. So you can uniquely identify tuples that with help of super key. Now what this minimal means? Remember candidate key, that means minimal super key. Okay, so super key means uniqueness. This super key, this gives you this property of uniqueness. Okay, because with the help of super key, because every candidate key is a super key, so I can say that using this candidate key I can uniquely identify the tuples. Okay, any tuple of the relation I can uniquely identify with the help of candidate key. Okay, what this minimal means? This minimal, this simply means that you cannot delete any attribute from the candidate key. Yes or no? If I delete any attribute from the candidate key, then this uniqueness, this property will be gone. Yes or no? Agree with me? That minimal means I cannot delete any attribute from the candidate key, because from the candidate key, if I delete any attribute, then this uniqueness property will be gone, this super key property will be gone. Okay, so this minimal, this simply means that we cannot delete any attribute. Yes or no? We cannot remove any attribute. Okay, we cannot remove any attribute. Okay, is this clear? From candidate key without losing uniqueness property, without losing this uniqueness property, uniqueness property. Is this clear? Please tell me. So very simple, candidate key, that is a minimal super key. Super key gives you uniqueness property, and this minimal, this simply means that we cannot delete any attribute. We cannot delete any attribute from the candidate key without losing uniqueness property. If you delete any attribute from the candidate key, then you will lose this uniqueness or this super key property, you will lose. Okay, very simple. So let me tell you, this minimal actually means irreducibility. Yes or no? We cannot reduce. Agree with me? Is this clear? See, this minimal gives you irreducibility. Okay, let me tell you that in this candidate key, definition, there are two things in the candidate key definition. One is minimal, another is super key. Okay, minimal, super key. Now, as I told you that super key gives you the uniqueness feature. This implies uniqueness property. Okay, candidate key has a uniqueness property. We can uniquely identify the tuples with the help of candidate key. And this minimal gives you irreducibility property. Irreducibility property. What it means? It means we cannot remove any attribute. Okay, irreducibility property, or I can also say non-redundancy property. Okay, non-redundancy property, because every attribute is actually important. Yes or no? There is no attribute which is redundant. I can simply say that every attribute is important in the candidate key. If you delete any attribute from the candidate key, then you will lose this uniqueness property. Okay, so that is the reason this candidate key has two properties. Remember, ultimately, this is one property, non-redundancy. This simply means we cannot delete any attribute from the candidate key, and another property is uniqueness property. So these are the two properties of candidate key. Okay, this is property, I can say this is second property. Okay, and I can call this first property. Okay, is this clear? So there are two properties. So did you understand this non-redundancy? This non-redundancy, this simply means that you cannot delete any attribute. Every attribute is important. If you delete any attribute from the candidate key, then this uniqueness property will be gone. So remember, candidate key has two properties. One is uniqueness, another is non-redundancy, or you can say irreducibility. I have already explained here. Okay, is this clear? Please tell me, did you understand? So you can read this. The candidate key, this has two properties. Every candidate key has two properties. One is uniqueness property. Okay, one is uniqueness property, another is non-redundancy property. Non-redundancy property means no attribute can be deleted. We cannot delete any attribute without destroying the uniqueness property. Okay, so you can read this, and finally I can say that this non-redundancy, this three, this will match with what? Non-redundancy, that simply means no attribute can be deleted. Okay, actually here no attribute can be added. Actually this should be no attribute can be discarded. Okay, this is better statement. This option A. Okay, this says no attribute can be added. Actually this is the better way. Okay, no attribute can be discarded. Okay, is this clear? You can read this. You can read this non-redundancy. Okay, you can see no attribute can be discarded without losing the uniqueness property. Okay, read this statement. Okay, so finally I can say that this statement 3, this will match with A, but actually in this A we should have no attribute can be discarded. This should be there. So finally your answer will be 1D. Yes, answer will be option A. This is the final answer. Is this clear to everyone? Please tell me, let me know. Anyone has any doubt? Let's move on. Let's solve this UGC NET June 2019 question. In relational database management, which of the following is or are properties of candidate key? So which of them are properties of candidate key? Uniqueness is the property of candidate key because you can uniquely identify the tuples in the relation. In the table, you can uniquely identify the tuples with the help of candidate key. So uniqueness is the property of candidate key. Also irreducibility, this is also property of candidate key. Okay, what this irreducibility means? This simply means that we cannot delete any attribute from the candidate key. If you delete any attribute from the candidate key, then this uniqueness property also will be gone. Okay, so candidate key is minimal super key. Okay, you already know that candidate key, that is minimal super key. Minimal super key. Okay, so remember, this super key gives you uniqueness property because you can uniquely identify any tuple in the relation. Okay, with the help of candidate key you can uniquely identify any tuple in the relation, and this minimal simply gives you irreducibility property, that you cannot delete any attribute. If you delete any attribute from the candidate key, then this uniqueness property will be gone. If you delete any attribute from the candidate key, then it will no longer be a super key. Okay, so this simply means irreducibility. Irreducibility, or you can say non redundancy. Non redundancy. Okay, so for this question answer will be option C. These are the properties of candidate key. Okay, we have already seen, you can see candidate key properties. So there are two properties of candidate key. Those are unique identification. Okay, you can uniquely identify any tuple from the table, and non redundancy means you cannot delete any attribute from the candidate key. No attribute can be discarded without losing the uniqueness property. Okay, so for this question answer will be option C. Let's move on now. Let's solve this UGC NET June 2016 question. Which of the following statements is true? The decomposition of schema RABC into R1 R2 is always lossless. The statement D1 is saying that this relation you have, this relation schema RABC you decompose this in R1 R2 AB comma AC, then this will always be lossless. This statement is false. Why? This statement is false because remember, this decomposition will be lossless if the if the common part is super key in one of the relations. Yes or no? This we already know. Okay, see, we already know that whenever you have a binary decomposition, whenever we do binary decomposition of a relation. Okay, see, if you have a relation R and you are doing binary decomposition R1 R2, okay, this type of binary decomposition you are doing, then remember this binary decomposition will be lossless. When can I say this decomposition will be lossless? This decomposition will be lossless if and only if the common part, I can say the intersection of R1 comma R2, okay, the common set of attributes, that should be super key either in R1 or in R2. Yes or no? The set of common attributes, they must be super key. This R1 intersection R2 must be super key in R1 or R2. Yes or no? In at least one of them, the common set of attributes must be a super key. Then you will say that it is a lossless decomposition. Yes or no? So let's see this statement D1. You are decomposing this relation R into R1, R2. Okay, what we are doing in this statement D1, see, this relation R you have, that is ABC, and we are decomposing this into R1, which is AB, and R2, which is AC. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, and so tell me, this decomposition, when it will be lossless? Let me know. Let me know. When can I say it will be lossless? It will be lossless. Remember, this decomposition is lossless if and only if this set of common attributes R1 intersection R2, the set of common attributes is A. Yes or no? R1 intersection R2, that is A, that you know, that is A. Okay, so this A must be super key in R1 or R2. Either A should determine R1 or A should determine R2. Yes or no? Is this clear? So A must be a super key in R1 or R2. Very simple point. Okay. Now, if A is not a super key in R1 comma R2, both of them, if A is not a super key, then this will not be lossless. Then this will be lossy. Yes or no? For example, just think about it. Let me give you some functional dependencies. Let's assume that B determines A and C determines A. Okay, let's assume these are the functional dependencies. B determines A, C determines A. Now, if you do this decomposition, then what are the projected functional dependencies on R1? These are the projected functional dependencies. B will determine A. And what are the projected functional dependencies on R2? You can see these are the projected functional dependencies on R2. Now you can easily see that that this decomposition is lossy, because you can easily see that the common set of attributes, that means a is not a super key in r1 comma r2, yes or no? You can see what is the common set of attributes r1 intersection r2, that is a. And you can easily see that this a is not a super key, this a is not a super key in r1 comma r2. So this decomposition is lossy. Okay, is this clear? So this is a lossy decomposition. Is this clear? So finally, I can say this statement D1, this is false, because statement D1 is saying the decomposition of this relation into these two relation is always lossless. This statement is actually false. Okay. So remember, this will be lossless if A is super key in at least one of them. A is super key in R1 or R2, then it will be lossless. Otherwise, this will be lossy. Okay. So statement D1 is false. What about statement D2? The decomposition of schema R, A, B, C, D, E having these functional dependencies into R1, R2 is lossless. Okay. So tell me what you will find, what you will check to determine if this decomposition is lossless or not. This is a binary decomposition. Again, you can see this relation we are decomposing into R1 comma R2. So this is a binary decomposition. Okay. Now what you will check? Remember, this decomposition will be lossless if a set of common attributes of R1 R2 is a super key in at least one of them. What is R1 intersection R2? Tell me. Just tell me what is R1 intersection R2. What is that? R1 intersection R2, that is AD. Yes or no? The set of common attributes, that is AD. So AD, that is your R1 intersection R2. Now you tell me, this AD, is this a super key in R1 or R2? Just find out what is AD closure in R. Okay, just find out what is AD closure in R. In this relation R, remember, in this relation R, what is AD closure? AD closure will be AD. AD can determine B. AD can determine B. Now I can stop, yes or no? Because you can see that AD can determine ADB. Remember, I can say this AD, this can determine the entire R1. So this AD is super key in R1. Yes or no? I can say this AD, which is actually R1 intersection R2. Okay, this is a super key in R1. Okay, so I can say this is a lossless decomposition. So this is a lossless decomposition. Very simple. But actually, what is the closure of AD in R? That is ADB. Next, you can see B can determine AE. Okay, B can determine AE. Next, you can see AE can determine C. AE can determine C. Okay. So anyway, you can see that this AD, this is actually a super key in R1, R2 both. Yes or no? But actually, we need only super key in one of them. See here what is happening, that the set of common attributes, this R1 intersection R2, that is actually super key in both of them, but actually one is enough. If this R1 intersection R2 is super key in R1 or R2, in at least one of them, if it is a super key, then that is enough for lossless decomposition. Okay. So anyway, the statement D2, that is actually true. So the answer for this question, which of them is true? The answer will be option D. Okay, only D2 is true. Okay, let's move on now. Let's solve this UGC NET 2017 question. Which one is correct with respect to relational DBMS? So this is very simple question. You know, every primary key is candidate key and every candidate key is super key. Yes or no? Okay, primary key is candidate key and every candidate key is a super key. So for this question, the best option is answer option B. Okay. Remember, in any table, how many primary keys are there? Tell me. In any table, how many primary keys are there? Only one primary key. So actually, the statement will be like this: that primary key, that is candidate key. Every candidate key is super key. Okay. Primary key is candidate key and every candidate key is a super key. So for this question, the best choice, that is option B. Okay. Let's move on. Let's solve this UGC NET December 2008 question. Suppose R is a relation and F is set of functional dependencies on R. Further, suppose that R1, R2, this is a decomposition of R. Then the decomposition is lossless decomposition, provided that, which of them is the condition for lossless decomposition? See, we are doing a binary decomposition. This relation R, we are decomposing into R1, R2. This is called binary decomposition because this relation R, we are decomposing into two relations. So this is called binary decomposition. And what is the condition for lossless join in binary decomposition? So you can easily see that this decomposition will be lossless. Okay, this will be lossless. This will be lossless decomposition. This decomposition will be lossless decomposition if and only if the common set of attributes of R1 comma R2 means R1 intersection R2. This is the common set of attributes. So the common set of attributes must be a super key in at least one of them. Okay, this common set of attributes, this must determine R1 or this must determine R2. Okay, means this common set of attributes, this must be a super key in R1 or R2. Okay, so very simple. Now you can easily see here that R1 intersection R2 implies R1 is in F plus. This is not necessary. Okay, so the answer will be at least one of them is in F plus. This is correct. Means what simply means? It simply means that R1 intersection R2, either it should be super key in R1 or it should be super key in R2. R1 intersection R2, either it should determine R1 or it should determine R2. Okay, with respect to these functional dependencies, with respect to the functional dependencies of relation R. So for this question, answer will be option D. Okay, a student is asking what this F plus means. This is the closure of FD set. See, very simple point. If I give you, remember, you have this relation R and these are the FDs. Okay, FDs are, this is your set of FDs. Okay, now you are doing this decomposition R1, R2. Then what you will do to check whether this is lossless or lossy decomposition? What you are going to do? Tell me. Okay, lossless or lossy, what you are going to do? You will find R1 intersection R2, you will find the common set of attributes. Yes or no? After finding the common set of attributes, you will find their closure. You will find their closure in this set of functional dependencies. Yes or no? Is this clear? See, first you will find what is the common set of attributes, then you will find that closure in F. Okay, yes or no? You will find the R1 intersection R2 closure in F. This is what you are going to do. Remember one more thing. Please understand that this relation R has these FDs. This R2 will also have FDs. Yes or no? Projected FDs. Agree with me? This R2 will have projected FDs. Correct? Okay. See, R2 will have projected FDs. Projected FDs. Let's call it F2. And similarly, remember R1 will also have projected FDs. Let's call it F1. Okay. So tell me, when you find the common set of attributes R1 intersection R2, then their closure you will find in F2 or F1 or F. This closure you will find in F2 or F1 or F. You will find in F. Yes or no? So very simple point. Whenever you have a binary decomposition, whenever you decompose any relation into sub-relations, now if you want to check whether this decomposition is lossless or lossy, then what you will do? You will find the set of common attributes, that is R1 intersection R2. Then their closure you will find in F. Okay, don't find the closure in F1 or F2. Okay, because this sub relation, this will also have projected FDs and this will also have projected FDs, but we have to find the closure of set of common attributes in F. Okay, now this is what you will do. What are the second step? What are the second step? The second step is, if this R1 intersection R2 closure, if this R1 intersection R2 closure contains R1 or R2, contains R1 or R2, yes or no? This R1 intersection R2 closure, if this contains R1 or R2, then what we can say? Then we can say this is lossless. Then we can say it is a lossless decomposition. Okay, very simple. So remember in this question, this F plus, why we are using this F plus? Because we will find the closure with respect to set of functional dependencies of the original relation. Remember, you will find the closure with respect to the functional dependencies of the original relation. That is the reason we are using this F plus. Okay, is this clear? Please tell me, did you understand this? So for this question, the answer will be option D. Let's move on. Let's solve this UGC NET December 2012 question. Which of the following statement is true? A relation is BCNF. A relation in BCNF is always in 3NF. That is correct. Okay, every relation which is in BCNF, that is also in 3NF. A relation in 3NF is always in BCNF. That is wrong. BCNF 3NF are same. That is wrong. A relation in BCNF is not in 3NF. That is wrong. So for this question, answer will be option A. Okay, very simple point, that you already know that every relation which is in BCNF, if your relation is in BCNF, then it automatically is 3NF also. Yes or no? It automatically is 3NF also. If your relation is in 3NF, then it automatically in 2NF also. And if your relation is in 2NF, then it automatically is in 1NF also. Okay. So very simple. So here you can see answer will be option A. Okay. Let's solve this UGC NET December 2012 question. The third normal form is based on the concept of, tell me, the third normal form that is based on the concept of transitive dependency. Yes or no? Very simple. So the third normal form that is based on the concept of transitive dependency. Okay. So for this question, the answer will be option B. You already know the definition of 3NF. A relation is in 3NF if there is no known prime attribute which is transitively dependent on any candidate key. Okay, this is the definition of 3NF. We already know in our lectures, we have seen this. Okay, a relation is in 3NF if there is no known prime attribute which is transitively dependent on a candidate key. Okay, we should not have any known prime attribute which is transitively dependent on any candidate key. Okay, this is the definition of 3NF. You can see 3NF definition, that is, no known prime attribute is transitively dependent on any candidate key. This is the definition of 3NF. Okay, this type of transitive dependency must not be there. Okay, if a non-prime attribute is transitively dependent on any candidate key, then your relation is not in 3NF. Okay, so for this question, the answer will be option B. Let's move on. Let's solve this UGC NET question. Armstrong proposed systematic approach to derive functional dependencies. Which of the following match the following? This list 1, list 2. Okay, we have to match the following with respect to functional dependencies. Okay, so we have to find what is the name of these rules. These are functional dependency rules, and we have to find what is the name of these rules. Actually, one thing I want to tell you. See, Armstrong rules, they are important. Okay, Armstrong gave three basic rules, three axioms, three fundamental rules for functional dependencies Armstrong gave. But actually, none of them is Armstrong rule. Okay, in this list too, none of them is Armstrong rule. Remember, Armstrong gave three rules. One was reflexivity, another was transitivity, another was augmentation. But in this list one, list two, none of them is Armstrong. And one more thing I want to tell you. See, this is a UGC NET question, but this question will never come in the GATE exam because these names are not important. Only the Armstrong rule names are important. Are you getting my point? See, for functional dependencies, Armstrong gave three rules. These are the Armstrong rules, Armstrong axioms. Okay, these are the inference rules for functional dependencies. These three rules were given by Armstrong for functional dependencies, and these names are important. Okay, in the GATE exam, they can ask you these names, the definition of reflexivity, augmentation, transitivity. Okay, but remember one thing. But remember one thing. These many more rules we can create. Yes or no? These are the basic three rules, and from these three rules, we can create many more rules for functional dependencies. But those rules, the name of those rules is not important. Okay, so you can see like decomposition, union, pseudo transitivity, composition. Okay, many more rules we can create, but their names are not important. Okay, in the UGC NET this question has come, but this type of question will never come in the GATE exam. Okay, because these names are not important. So if you don't know these names, then also you don't have to worry from the GATE exam point of view. But if you are preparing for UGC NET, NEET, ISRO, this type of exams, okay, basically PSU exams or government exam, if you are preparing, then they can ask you any type of question they can ask you. Okay, but this question is not suitable for the GATE exam. Anyway, let's solve this question. Assume you don't know the names of these rules, okay, because these are not Armstrong rules. Yes or no? Okay, all of them, they are not Armstrong rules. So let's assume you don't know the names of these rules. You know that yes, these are valid, that you know. Okay, you can easily prove, yes or no? So with the help of closure, you can easily prove that these are valid rules. But let's assume you don't know the names of these rules. Then how will you solve this question, this particular question? If you are sitting in the UGC NET exam, then how will you solve? Please tell me. Again, I am telling you, from the gate exam point of view, you don't have to remember these names. These are not important from the gate exam point of view. In the gate exam, they will not ask you the names of these rules. Okay, yes, what they can ask you in the gate exam, they can ask you whether these are valid or not, and that you can easily find out. Okay, but what are the names of these rules, that is not important for the gate exam. Anyway, so in the UGC NET, if you are attempting the UGC NET exam, then how you will solve this question? You can actually solve this question if you know, if you can find out, if you can guess the name of any of these rules. For example, decomposition. Tell me here which rule looks like decomposition. Tell me, very simple question I am asking, that this is decomposition rule. Look at these list two. Okay, look all of them and tell me which of them is looking like decomposition, which of them is looking like decomposition. You can see this is looking like decomposition. This is your split on RHS. We can split on RHS, right? Yes or no? This is your split on RHS rule. This is your split on RHS rule for FDs. Okay. So you can see this split on RHS rule. This is called decomposition rule. So you can match like this. A will match with fourth. Now tell me which option is correct. Now just check all the options. Tell me which option is correct. Let me know. So which option is correct? So the answer will be option D. Okay. All of them are gone. Is this clear? So if you are attempting the UGC NET exam, then you can easily see like this. Okay, this decomposition rule, which of them is looking like decomposition rule? So you can see the fourth one, that is looking like decomposition rule. Okay, is this clear? Why I am telling you this? Because remember, if you are a gate aspirant, then you don't have to worry about these names. You don't have to remember these names. Okay, you don't have to remember, because from the gate exam point of view, these names are not important. From the gate exam point of view, only Armstrong names are important. Okay, Armstrong gave three axioms, three rules, three inference rules were given by Armstrong for functional dependencies. Only these are important. In the gate exam, they can ask you augmentation, reflexivity, and transitivity. These things they can ask you. Okay, but anyway, you can see. So if you are preparing for UGC NET or PSU or government exams, then you can remember these names also. Okay, so you can see union. What is this? This is simply combining on RHS. Okay, union. This is simply combining on RHS. You can see if X determines Y and X determines Z, then X will determine YZ. Okay, decomposition, that is split on RHS. Union is combine on RHS. Decomposition is split on RHS. Next, composition. You can see composition. If X determines Y, Z determines W, then XZ determines YW. This is composition. And pseudo transitivity. This is if X determines Y and wy determines z. Now you can see x determines y, so wx will determine z. This is pseudo transitivity. Okay, so these are the names. These names are important only for government or PSU exam. Okay, not important for gate exam. Anyway, so for this question you can easily see what will be the answer. So decomposition rule, A will match with fourth. Union means this means combining on RHS. Okay, union means combine on RHS. So this B, this will match with third. Okay, B will match with third. Composition means here you can see this first is the composition. If X determines Y, Z determines W, then XZ determines YW. Okay, so I can say that this C, this is matching with 1. Next, pseudo transitivity, this is this rule. X determining Y, YW determining Z. Now you can see X can determine Y, so XW can determine Z. Okay, so this D will match with 2. For this question, the answer will be option D. Okay, let's move on. Let's solve this UGC NET October 2020 question. Consider the relation S UVWXYZ on which the following functional dependencies are held. Which of the following candidate keys? Which of the following are candidate keys of are the candidate keys? Okay, the question is asking for candidate keys. So let's solve it very simple. Tell me which attribute does not appear on the RHS of any non-trivial FD? These are the attributes, 6 attributes. Which attribute does not appear on the RHS of any non-trivial FD? You can see V appears, next X appears, W appears, okay, next U appears. Now you can easily see that YZ, they do not appear on the RHS of any non-trivial FD. Okay, so I can say YZ must be part of every candidate key. They must be part of every candidate key. Yes or no? So Y, remember YZ must be part of every candidate key. And so what is the answer? You can eliminate the options. Remember, YZ must be part of every candidate key. The question is asking for candidate keys. So option A is gone, option B is gone. YZ must be part of every candidate key. Because of this, option C is gone. Yes or no? Automatically, only one option will be remaining. That is option D. Okay, is this clear? But anyway, if you want to find the candidate keys, you can easily find. Let's find out the candidate keys. So the functional dependencies that we have, that is U determining V. Next, VW determines X, Y determines W, next X determines U. Okay, if the question asks you how many candidate keys are there, okay, let's see how to find candidate keys. So the first step is, you know that YZ will be part of every candidate key. Okay, YZ must be part of every candidate key, part of every candidate key. Tell me, is YZ enough? Can I say YZ is enough? What is YZ plus? What is the closure of YZ? YZ can determine YZ. Y can determine W. Y can determine W. Yes or no? Now YZW, that's it. So you can see YZ is not enough. Yes or no? YZ is not enough. Now what we will do? Now what we are going to do? The second step, that is we will combine YZ plus one more attribute. Yes or no? This is what we are going to check. One more attribute. Okay, so let's check this. YZ plus one more attribute. Let me check. YZU. Okay, will this work? YZU. What is the closure of YZU? That will be UYZ. You can determine V. You can determine V. Y can determine W. Okay, next you can see that VW can determine X. VW can determine X. Okay, we got all the attributes. Yes or no? So I can say this is a candidate key. Okay, this is UYZ. This is a candidate key. What else is a candidate key? Let's see. YZ plus one more attribute. Okay, YZ. Okay, let's see this V. Okay, so what are the closure? VYZ. This will give you VYZ. Next, Y can give you W. Okay, we got W. Next, you can see VW can determine X. Okay, you can see VW can determine X. Next, X can determine U. Okay, so finally again we got everything. So VYZ, that is also a candidate key. Yes or no? Okay, what else we will check? Remember YZ plus one more attribute. Okay, so let me check. So with YZ, let me check the next attribute. So W. Okay, let's take W. What about this? What are the closure of YZW? So this will be YZW only. Yes or no? This will be YZW only. So this is not a candidate key. YZW, that is not a candidate key. With YZ, take one more attribute. Okay, so let's take X. Okay, will it work? This X. What are the closure of XYZ? That will be XYZ. Now X can determine U. Okay, now remember, this itself is a candidate key. Yes or no? This itself is a candidate key. So you will get everything. You will determine V, and you can easily see that this Y will determine W. Okay, so again we got everything. Okay, so this XYZ, this is also a candidate key. What else? With YZ, let's add one more attribute. So let's add Y. Okay, yes, that's it. Okay, yes or no? That's it. Now what we are going to do? We are going to check. Remember, we have done this. See, so far what we got? We checked YZ plus one more attribute. This we have done. YZ plus one more attribute. Okay, this case, this from this what we got? From this we got these candidate keys. We got UYZ we got VYZ, we got XYZ. Yes or no? These candidate keys we got XYZ, VYZ, and UYZ. So these we got. Now what we are going to do? Tell me. Now we are going to do YZ plus two more attributes. Yes or no? Yes or no? Plus two more attributes. YZ plus two more attributes. But here tell me, when I'm checking plus two more attributes, then which attribute I cannot take? Candidate key is minimal, right? So YZ plus two more attributes, these two more attributes, they cannot be. Remember, they cannot be U, V, X. So what remains? What remains? Nothing remains. Yes or no? Okay, these two attributes cannot be U, V, X. So nothing remains. There is nothing to check here. Okay, because we don't even have two more attributes. We do not have two more attributes. We don't have two more attributes. So there is nothing to check here. So finally, three candidate keys will be there, and those are UYZ, VYZ, XYZ. So for this question, answer will be option D. Okay, very simple question. Let's move on now. Let's solve this UGC NET December 2014 question. The best normal form for this relation with these functional dependencies. The question is asking what is the highest normal form. Okay. So first what you will do, you will find the candidate keys. So tell me what are the candidate keys for this relation. Tell me which attribute does not appear on the RHS. Which attribute does not appear on the RHS of any non-trivial FD? You can see C appears, D appears, A appears, B appears. Every attribute appears on the RHS. Okay. So let's find out what are the candidate keys. That is our first target. So tell me. Okay, one by one we will see. One by one we will see. Tell me, A, what is A closer? A closer is only A. Okay, so that is not a candidate key. Yes or no? That is not a candidate key. What is B closer? That is B. Again, that is not a candidate key. What is C closer? See, C closer is CA. C can determine A. Now, AC cannot determine anything. So this is also not a candidate key. What is D plus? D plus is a DB. Okay. With help of DB, you cannot determine anything else. So I can say single attribute candidate key we don't have. We do not have single attribute candidate key. Yes or no? Now let's see two attribute. Okay, let me check two attribute candidate keys. What are the closure of AB? We don't have single attribute candidate key. Remember, single attribute candidate key we don't have. Now let's check AB closure. Two attributes. Okay, so AB closure will be AB. Now you can see AB can determine C, AB can determine D. So we got CD. So I can say yes, AB, that is a candidate key. This candidate key we got. Okay, what else? Tell me, what else? For example, what about AC? This is not a candidate key. Okay, this will not be a candidate key because AC can determine only AC. What about AD? What about AD? AD can determine AD. D can determine B. D can determine B. Yes or no? Now you can see AB can determine everything. AB can determine everything. Okay, so I can say that AD is also a candidate key. Okay, I can say we got AD. That is also a candidate key. Okay, AB is a candidate key. AD is a candidate key. So with A, we have taken two attribute combination with A. Okay, we have checked all the two attribute combination with A. Now we will check without A two attribute combination. Tell me. So far, these are the candidate keys we got. We got AB and we got AD. These candidate keys we got. Okay, now let's check more two attribute combinations. For example, let's check BC. What BC will give you? BC will give you BC. C can determine A. Now you can see AB can determine everything. AB is a candidate key. So very simple. This BC also will become a candidate key. Okay, so we got BC also we got. Now let's check BD. What is BD closer? BD closer will be BD. That's it. Nothing else. Okay, nothing else. Now we have checked all the two attribute combinations with B. Now what is the remaining two attribute combination? This is the remaining two attribute combination CD. So what is closure of CD? CD closure will be CD. C can determine A. C can determine A. Now you can see AD is already a candidate key. AD is already a candidate key. So that is the reason I can say this CD also will be a candidate key because you can see D can determine B. This D can determine B. So finally I can say that CD is also a candidate key. So remember, these are the candidate keys. That's it. If the question asks you how many candidate keys are there, then the answer will be 4. Okay, 4 candidate keys will be there. Is this clear? Let me know. Is there any 3 attribute combination candidate key? Can you create 3 attribute combination candidate key? No, we cannot create three attribute combination candidate key. So only these are the candidate keys. So remember, there will be total 4 candidate keys in this question. Okay, now you tell me, after finding the candidate keys, what are the prime and non-prime attributes? Tell me what we will do. See, AB is a candidate key, AD is a candidate key, BC, CD. These are the candidate keys. Now tell me what are the non-prime attributes. To check for normal form, we will find what are the non-prime attributes. Let me know. What are the non-prime attributes? None of them. Yes or no? Every attribute is prime attribute. Every attribute is part of some candidate key. Every attribute is part of some candidate key. So there is no non-prime attribute. So I can say every attribute is prime attribute. Automatically means what? Every attribute is prime attribute. What it automatically means? Every attribute is prime. Every attribute is prime. That automatically means your relation is in 3NF. Yes or no? Your relation is in 3NF. Every attribute is prime, so automatically your relation is in 3NF. So 3NF is guaranteed. Yes or no? 3NF is guaranteed. Now we have to check BCNF or not. Okay, remember 3NF is guaranteed, but what about BCNF? You have to check. Okay, but now check BCNF. Okay, so in this question, we have checked for 3NF. It will be 3NF, okay, because every attribute is prime attribute, so this relation will be 3NF. Now check BCNF or not. Okay, for BCNF, what you will do? For BCNF, you just see in these functional dependencies, just look at the LHS. Is LHS a super key? Okay, see, these are the functional dependencies. These are the functional dependencies. F equal to AB determining C, AB determining D, next C determining A, and D determining B. Okay, you can easily see this is the violation of BCNF. This is the violation of BCNF. Okay, yes or no? Actually, this is also violation of BCNF. These are the violation of BCNF. Why? Why these are violation of BCNF? Because this is not a super key. Yes or no? This is a non-trivial FD, and here this is not a super key. This LHS is not a super key. Similarly, here also, this is a non-trivial FD, but here also LHS is not a super key. Okay, that is the reason these are the violation of BCNF. So this relation is not in BCNF. The best normal form is a 3NF. Okay, the best normal form is 3NF. Is this clear? Please tell me. So for this question, the answer will be option B. Remember, if you are in 3NF, if a relation is in 3NF, then it is also in 2NF, it is also in 1NF. But the best normal form the question is asking, so the answer will be option B. Okay. Let's solve this UGC NET December 2014 question. Identify the minimal key. Question is simply asking about the candidate keys. Question is asking what are the candidate keys. Okay, find candidate keys. That's it. These functional dependencies are given to you. This is the relation. Please tell me which attribute does not appear on the RHS of any non-trivial FD. These are the attributes. Which of them do not appear on the RHS? You can easily see that A does not appear on the RHS. E does not appear on the RHS. Yes or no? See, look at this. A comma E. A comma E. They do not appear on the RHS. That means what? That simply means they must be part of every candidate key. Yes or no? A comma E must be part of every candidate key because they do not appear on the RHS of any non-trivial FD. Okay, so they must be part of every candidate key. A comma E. Yes or no? Now you tell me, is this enough? They must be part of every candidate key, and are they enough? AE, they must be part of every candidate key, but are they enough? Are they enough? So let's see what is the closure of AE. That will be AE. Next, A can determine B. A can determine B. Next, B can determine C. B can determine C. Next, AC can determine D. AC can determine D. So you got everything? Yes or no? So remember AE, that must be part of every candidate key, and that is enough. So you have unique candidate key, that is AE. So for this question, answer will be option B. This is the unique candidate key. You will get unique candidate key. Why? Because see, AE must be part of every candidate key, and that itself is enough. AE itself is enough. So that is the reason you will get unique candidate key, and that is answer option B. Let's solve this UGC NET December 2014 question. Relation R ABCDE is a relation schema with functional dependency set. This is the set of functional dependencies. The attribute closure of A and E. What is the closure of A? What is the closure of E? Let's find out. What are the closure of A comma E? So let's see. Tell me what is the closure of A. A can determine A by reflexive property. We know that any attribute can determine itself by the reflexive property. So A can determine A. Next, what other thing A can determine? See, A can determine B. Okay, A can determine B. Now this B can determine C. Yes or no? So this B can determine C. Next, you can see this AC can determine D. AC can determine D. Correct? Okay. So finally, I can say this is what you got. Okay. So A plus will be ABCD. Is this clear? This will be closure of A. This is what A can determine. What E can determine? E can determine E, nothing else. Okay. Yes or no? So finally, for this question, the attribute closure of A comma E, that will be ABCD comma E. So answer will be option B. Let's solve this UGC NET December 2015 question. A relation ABCDEFG is given with the following set of functional dependencies. Which of the following is a candidate key? The question is asking for candidate key. Tell me, which attribute does not appear on the RHS of any non-trivial FD? Let's see. See, E appears, F appears, C appears, G appears. E, F, C, G, they appear, but ABD do not appear. Yes or no? So I can say that ABD must be part of every candidate key. Correct? These attributes, they must be part of every candidate key. Every candidate key. Yes or no? So ABD must be part of every candidate key. Why? Because you can see these three attributes, they do not appear on the RHS of any functional dependency. Okay, so they must be part of every candidate key. Okay, now let's see, are they enough? Let me know, are they enough? What is ABD whole closure? Let's find out what they can determine. See, ABD can determine ABD by the reflexive property. So ABD can determine ABD. What else? You can see AD. AD can determine E. Yes or no? AD can determine E. So we got E also. Okay, next you can see BE can determine F. BE can determine F. So we got F also. Next, you can see B can determine C. B can determine C. So we got C also. Okay, next, you can see AF can determine G. AF can determine G. So we got G also. Okay, did we get everything? Yes, we got everything. Yes or no? Okay. You can see A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We got everything. So very simple that A, B, D whole closure, if you find, you will get every attribute. Okay, you will get every attribute. Means this ABD can determine R. Okay, this can determine R. So very simple point. This is the only candidate key. Remember, ABD must be part of every candidate key, and they are enough. ABD is enough. ABD can determine all the attributes. Okay, so I can say this is the unique candidate key. Okay, this will be the only candidate key. So answer will be option D. Let's solve this GATE 2008 question. Consider the following relational schema. Now let me tell you, this question has also come in UGC NET exam. This question has come in the UGC NET exam also. So let's solve it. Consider the following relational schema for a library database. Two tables are given to you, two relations are given to you. One is book, another is collection, and these are the functional dependencies. Assume author comma title is the key for both schema. This author comma title, author comma title, author comma title, this is the key for both the schema. Which of the following are true? Are they in BC enough, 3 enough, 2 enough? Okay. In this question, one thing I want to ask you, that is, look at this information. Assume author comma title is the key for both schema. Okay, let me know, are we talking about here are in this line, are we talking about candidate key or primary key or super key? What are we talking about? Tell me. Look at this line. Assume author comma title is the key for both schema. What are we talking about? Here actually we are talking about primary key. Okay, here actually the question is talking about primary key, because remember why? See, candidate key you will find from functional dependencies. Yes or no? See, there can be more candidate keys. Okay, remember one thing, there can be many more candidate keys. Yes or no? From the functional dependencies, we can find candidate keys. Okay, yes or no? We can find all the candidate keys. We can find all the candidate keys for both tables, for both relations. Agree with me? Do you agree with me that, see, if I tell you this information, if I give you that author comma title is the key for both schema, will you not find more candidate keys? Will you stop? Tell me, just understand what I'm asking. I'm asking, will you stop? If I give you this information, author comma title is the key for both schema, then will you not find more candidate keys? The question is asking BCNF 3NF. So you must find all the candidate keys. Yes or no? You must find all the candidate keys. Okay. So from the functional dependencies, you must find all candidate keys. All the candidate keys you must find. Is this clear? So actually this information that is given to you, that is actually only for primary key, that in these two tables, this author comma title, this is the primary key. But actually candidate key we will find. Candidate key we have to find. Okay. There can be more candidate keys. I will show you. Okay. Let's solve it now. So let's solve it. So this book table you have. Okay. And there is catalog table. Okay. There is book table. There is catalog table. A student is asking that, sir, key means candidate key by default. Yes, that is correct. By default key means candidate key, but read the question and from the context you try to understand what the question has given to you. See, by default key means candidate key, that we already know. By default key means candidate key. Okay. In the gate exam also, in the Ullman book also, by default key means candidate key. But I am telling you that read the question from the context of the question. You try to think what this statement means. I am just telling you what this statement means. Tell me one thing. If the statement is talking about candidate key, then will you not find more candidate keys? I'm just asking this question. Will you not find more candidate keys? What are the candidate keys in this table? What are the candidate keys in this table? Will you not find all the candidate keys? Yes, of course you will find. Yes or no? You have to find all the candidate keys in both the tables. That is what I'm telling you. So this line actually does not give you information of all the candidate keys. This line does not tell you that this is the only candidate key. No, this line simply tells you about primary key. The candidate key we have to find from the functional dependencies. For both the tables we have to find the candidate key. This is what I'm telling you. Okay, now you can see there are two tables. One is catalog, one is book. First let me see, sorry, one is collection table, another is book table. First let me see this collection table. Okay, for convenience I will write all of them in a short form. Okay, for convenience, is this clear? For convenience, this title I will write T. Okay, I will not write title, I will just simply write T to save time. This author I will write A, and this catalog number I will write C. So TAC. Okay, these are the three attributes. Now also here in the book table, this will be title. Title means T, author means A, catalog means C, publisher means P, year means Y, and price means I will write something PR, or maybe for price, I will write something else. Okay, you have to write something else, because remember this is publisher. For publisher I'm using P, so for price I will just use something else, maybe rupees. Yes, price means rupees. Rupees. Very good. Okay, for price I will use R means rupees. Is this clear? Because I cannot use P for both of them, publisher comma price. I cannot use P for both of them. So for price, I will use R means rupees. Anyway, so this is your collection table. Tell me what are the functional dependencies which are projected in the collection table. FD is projected. FD is projected or holding in collection table. In this collection table, what are the functional dependencies that will hold? Tell me. Tell me all the functional dependencies which will hold in this table, in this collection table. What are all the functional dependencies that will hold? So you can see TAC. Between TAC, find all the functional dependencies. Between TAC, find all the functional dependencies. So one is this, TA determining C. Are you getting my point? I am asking, this is the collection table. I want all the FDs. I want all the functional dependencies which will hold in this table. Between these three attributes, all the functional dependencies that will hold, I want those. Is this clear? I want all the functional dependencies between these three attributes, among these three attributes. Okay. So one of them is this, TA implies C. Okay. Yes or no? One of them is TA implies C. What is another? Yes, there is another. There is another. C implies TA. You can split on RHS. Yes or no? FD we can split on RHS. Agree with me? See, if you have A implies B, C, D, E, B, C, D, E, then it simply means you can split on RHS. It simply means A determine B. It simply means A determine C, A determine D, A determine E. Is this clear? Please tell me. We can split on RHS, that you already know. Functional dependencies rule. We can split on RHS. FD, you can split FD on RHS. So if you have this type of FD, then it simply means all of them. Okay. So remember, you can see C determines TA. Okay. C determines TA. So here I can say that C will determine TA. Is there anything else? Look at this and tell me, is there anything else? Between TAC, is there anything else? Is there any other FD among TAC, among these three attributes TAC? Is there any other functional dependency? There is no other functional dependency. Okay. So finally, these are the functional dependencies. Remember, please understand that in this collection table, these are the functional dependencies. These are the FDs of collection tables. Okay. These two, these are, let me write it here. These are the FDs projected. Okay. These are the FDs projected, or I can simply say these are the FDs on collection table. Okay, that's it. Now you can easily solve what is the candidate key for the collection table. For the collection table, you tell me. Collection table candidate keys. Tell me about collection table candidate keys. Let me know. So you can see collection table candidate keys will be TA will be a candidate key and C will be a candidate key. Okay. Is this clear? This TA will be a candidate key, C will be a candidate key. So these are the two candidate keys. So can I say that every attribute is prime? Yes or no? For the collection table, just focus on the collection table. Every attribute is prime for collection table. Okay. Every attribute is prime. Yes or no? Every attribute is a prime. And because every attribute is prime, so what will happen? Definitely it is in 3NF. So automatically this is in 3NF. BCNF we have to check. So 3NF is guaranteed. Okay, BCNF we have to check. BCNF we have to check. Now tell me, this will be BCNF or not? You can see this is a super key, this is a super key. So this is in BCNF also. Yes or no? Both are super keys. So this is in the BCNF also. So finally I can say collection table. Okay, because in the collection table we have TA determining C, C determining TA. Okay, so here you can see this is a super key, this is a super key, both are super key, correct? Super key, and this is also super key. So I can say this is actually in BCNF. Is this clear? So collection table is in BCNF. Is in BCNF. Okay, let me know, did you understand? This is the correct analysis of this question. I have seen many students, what they do the analysis of this collection table without this FD. Okay. Please tell me, did you solve this GATE exam question? And while solving this GATE exam question by yourself, in this collection table, did you take this FD? This second FD, did you take or not? If you did not take this second FD, then that is wrong. You got the correct answer. Okay. By luck, you were lucky to get the correct answer. But if you don't take this FD, the second FD, if you don't take, then your method was wrong and In some other question, you will get the wrong answer. Okay. Now, did you understand this question? Please tell me. Did you crystal clearly understand this question? Let me know. So this collection table is definitely in BCNF. Now let's see about the book table. What are the attributes in the book table? In the book table, we have TACPYR. Okay, we have TACPYR. Okay, so these are the attributes. So now you tell me, what are the candidate keys holding? What are the functional dependencies holding in book table? Tell me. What are the FDs of book table? Let me know. What will be the FDs of book table? You can see one of them is this TA determining C. Okay. So one of them will be TA determining C. TA determines C. What else? Tell me. What else? Let me know. Another is C determining TAPY. C determining TAPY. What else? What else? You can see PTY determining price. PTY determining price. Okay, PTY determining price. Price, this is your price. Okay, so PTY determining R. So these are the FDs. Is this clear? Please tell me. These are the FDs of book table. Now you tell me. Once you got these FDs of the book table, what are the candidate keys of book table? Tell me about the candidate keys of the book table. Let me know. Is there any attribute which is not on the RHS? Here, these are the attributes. Is there any attribute which is not on the RHS? Let me know. Which attribute is not on the RHS? Every attribute is on the RHS. Now let's find out the candidate keys. Just find out all the candidate keys. You can see C is a candidate key. Single attribute candidate key is only this. Yes or no? Single attribute candidate key. This is the single attribute candidate key. Nothing else. Okay. Next, you can see TA is also candidate key. Okay. TA, that is also candidate key. Is there anything else? Nothing else. You can check. Okay, just find all the candidate keys. Find all the candidate keys. These will be the candidate keys. Okay, nothing else is a candidate key. A student is saying PTYA. Is this a candidate key? PTYA. This is not a candidate key because TA is already a candidate key. TA is already a candidate key. So PTYA is not a candidate key because TA is already a candidate key. So PTYA is not a candidate key. These are the candidate keys. Yes or no? Is this clear? Please tell me. So what are the non-prime attributes? Let me know. See, these are the FDs. One is TA determining C, C determining TAPY, and PTY determining R. Okay, we got the candidate keys. The candidate keys are C, TA. So what are the non-prime attributes? Let me know. What are the non-prime attributes? Tell me all the non-prime attributes. They are PYR. These are the non-prime attributes. Yes or no? Okay. Now let's check. First of all, you tell me, is this in BCNF or not? For BCNF, you can very easily check. BCNF checking is very easy. Okay. Is there any violation of BCNF? Yes. You can see this is the violation of BCNF. PTY determining R. This is a violation of BCNF. Is a violation of BCNF. Why? What is the reason? Because you can easily see this is not a super key. This is not a super key. So this is a violation of BCNF. So BCNF is gone. Now let's check about 2NF. Okay. Now let's quickly check about 2NF. 2NF or not. For 2NF, what you will do? You will find proper subset of candidate key. Can it determine non-prime attribute? Okay. So what are the proper subsets of candidate key? Tell me all the proper subsets of candidate keys. Let me know. What are the proper subsets of candidate keys? Tell me. So the proper subsets of candidate keys are T, A only. That's it. These are the proper subsets of candidate key. Can they determine non-prime attribute? Now you find what is T closure. T closure will be T only. What is A closure? A closure will be A only. Yes or no? So can they determine non-prime attribute? You can see T cannot determine non-prime attribute. Yes or no? T cannot determine non-prime attribute. A cannot determine non-prime attribute. Is this clear? Let me know. T cannot determine. These are the non-prime attributes. P, Y, R. These are the non-prime attributes. You can see T cannot determine non-prime attribute. A cannot determine non-prime attribute. So this is in 2NF. Yes or no? Yes or no? So this relation is in 2NF. Now let's check for 3NF. This relation is in 2NF. Now let's check for 3NF. For 3NF, what is the condition? Please tell me. For 3NF, what is the condition? What is the violation of 3NF? What is the only violation of 3NF? There is only one violation of 3NF. What is that? What is the violation of 3NF? Let me know. There is only one violation of 3NF. And what is that? So violation of 3NF is non-super key determining non-prime attribute. Yes or no? Is this clear? Determining non-prime attribute. This is the only violation of 3NF. There is no other violation of 3NF. This is the only violation of 3NF, that non-super key is determining non-prime attribute. Okay, non-super key determining non-prime attribute. Okay, don't say non-candidate key. No, don't say non-candidate key. Say non-super key determining non-prime attribute. This is the only violation of 3NF. Now tell me, is there any violation of 3NF? Look at this. Is there any violation of 3NF? This is already a super key. This is already a super key. And you can see, what about this? This is not a super key. You can see PTY determining R. Look at this. This is non-prime. Yes or no? This is non-prime attribute. And look at this. This is non-super key. This is not a super key. So non-super key determining non-prime attribute. So I can say this is a not in 3NF. Okay. Is this clear? So that's it. This is the analysis of this GATE exam question. So please tell me what is the final answer. Collection table is in BCNF and book table is in 2NF. So book is in 2NF and collection in 3NF. So which option is correct? The question is asking which option is correct. Both are in 2NF. Book is in 2NF and collection in 3NF. This is correct, right? Yes or no? Actually, collection table is in BCNF. Actually, collection table is in BCNF and this book table, this is in 2NF. Okay, this is your actually the best answer. This is the best answer. Remember, this is the best answer. Collection table BCNF and book table 2NF. But from the options, which is the best option? From the options, see, this is wrong. This is clearly wrong. Okay. This is also wrong. Yes or no? This is also wrong. See, these two options are wrong. This option is correct. This option is correct. Which is best option? Both are correct. This is also correct. This is also correct. But what is the best choice? This is the better. Yes or no? Yes or no? Because collection is 3NF, that covers 2NF. Okay, so this is the best choice. Actually, both are correct. Okay, option C, D, actually both are correct. But C is the best choice. Oh, okay. Are in 2NF only. Okay. Sorry. Because of this word, option D is actually wrong. Okay, option D is actually wrong because of this word only. Okay, option D is actually wrong. Option D is wrong because of this word only. Is this clear? See, option D is saying both are in 2NF only. Both are in 2NF only. So that is the reason option D is wrong. Okay, the answer will be option C. That's it. Is this clear? So similarly for this UGC NET exam question, same question came in UGC NET exam. And for this question, what will be the answer? For this UGC NET exam question, what will be the answer? Both are in BCNF, wrong. Both are in 3NF, wrong. This is in 2NF, this is in 3NF, this is correct. Both are in 2NF. See, the UGC NET people, they copied the question, but the question also they copied wrongly. They did not copy the only word. Yes or no? Did you notice? They did not copy the only word. They copied the question. The UGC NET people, they are copying the GATE exam question, but at least copy as it is. At least copy as it is. They are not copying as it is. वो कहते हैं ना, अक्ल में भी नकल चाहिए. जब क्वेश्चन कॉपी कर रहे हो तो पूरा एज इट इज ही कर लो. यहाँ पे ओनली वर्ड मिस कर दिया. So for this question, for this UGC NET exam question, actually C, D are both correct. Okay, but C is better. C is better choice. Okay, तो अगर आप यूजीसी नेट एग्जाम का अगर ये एग्जाम अगर आप दे रहे हो तो सी कोमा डी दोनों करेक्ट है, लेकिन सी एक बेटर चॉइस है. You will get marks for C because I know the question maker, actually not the question maker, the question copier. जिसने भी ये क्वेश्चन कॉपी किया ना, उसके दिमाग में ऑप्शन सी ही चल रहा है. उसने ओनली वर्ड हटा दिया. वो सोच भी नहीं रहा है. उसको लग रहा है कि ओनली वर्ड तो फालतू है. ओके, यहाँ पे जो ओनली वर्ड जो गेट वालों ने यूज किया है वो तो फालतू वर्ड है, तो उसको हटा देते हैं. तो एनीवे, जो ये जो क्वेश्चन जिसने भी कॉपी किया है वो आपको सी, ऑप्शन सी के लिए मार्क्स देगा. वो ऑप्शन डी के लिए मार्क्स नहीं देगा. वो ऑप्शन सी के लिए मार्क्स देगा. ओके, तो एनीवे, दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम विद PSU एंड गवर्नमेंट एग्जाम क्वेश्चंस. बट इफ यू आर अटेम्प्टिंग दिस क्वेश्चन, देन remember C is the better choice. But for this GATE exam question, there is no ambiguity. For this GATE exam question, the answer will be option C, and option D is wrong because of only word. Okay, so I hope you understood this. Let's move on. Let's solve this UGC NET December 2007 question. A primary key for an entity is a primary key, that is a candidate key. Primary key is a candidate key. Every candidate key is a super key. Actually, this is also correct. But what is the better choice? What is the better choice? C. Option A, D both correct. Okay, what is the better choice? Option A is better choice because it covers option D. Yes or no? When you say that a primary key is candidate key, then automatically it implies that every candidate key is super key. So remember, A is better choice. Okay, A is better choice, but actually option A, D both are correct. Okay, is this clear? So for this question, if you are attempting the UGC NET exam, then you should mark option A. This type of question will not come in the GATE exam, don't worry. Let's solve this UGC NET June 2019 question. In relational database, if relation R is in BCNF normal form, then which of the following is true about R? If a relation is in BCNF, then that is also in 2NF, 3NF. Yes or no? Okay. So if your relation is in BCNF, then that automatically implies 3NF, 3NF implies 2NF, and 2NF implies 1NF. Okay. So for this question, answer will be option D. But remember, this option A, that is not correct. Okay. Actually, this 4NF, this is based on concept of multi-value dependency. Okay, this 4NF, this normal form, this is based on concept of multi-value dependency, which is not in the GATE syllabus. Okay, in our lectures, I have given you the idea of it, but this is not in the GATE syllabus. Okay, so this 4NF, this is actually based on multi-value dependency, and all of them, 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, and BCNF, they are actually based on functional dependencies. Okay, yes or no? Not 1NF. 1NF is actually just a default. It is just a default form. The 2NF, 3NF, BCNF, they are based on FDs. They are based on FDs. Okay, is this clear? So if your relation is in BCNF, that does not mean it is in 4NF. Okay. Okay. So remember, 1NF is based on, that is a by default, that is based on domain. Yes, 1NF is based on domain. Okay, so let me write it here. 1NF, that is based on domain. Or I can say that is just a default normal form. Okay, that every attribute must have atomic values. So that is the definition of 1NF. Every attribute must have atomic values. Okay, 2NF, 3NF, BCNF, they are based on functional dependencies. 4NF is based on multi-valued dependency. Okay, so for this question, answer will be option D. Let's solve this UGC NET August 2016 question. Consider the following relation R with these attributes. The functional dependencies that hold on R, these are the FDs that are holding on R, on relation R. Which of the following statement is or are true? The decomposition of R into CAAB is lossless. The decomposition of R into ABBC is lossy. So let's check. There are two decompositions given to you. Okay, the first decomposition, remember you have a relation R with the three attributes ABC. And what are the functional dependencies? These are the functional dependencies: A determining B, C determining AB. Okay, now what you are doing, you are doing the decomposition of this relation R into R1, R2. Okay, and the question is asking two decompositions are given to you. Let's see the first decomposition, that is R1 C comma A and R2 A comma B. Okay, so this decomposition is given to you. So tell me, this decomposition, this is a binary decomposition. You are decomposing the relation into two sub relations. So this is binary decomposition. In a binary decomposition, this decomposition will be lossless or lossy. How to check it? Tell me. Very simple. Find what are the set of common attributes. Okay, very simple. Find R1 intersection R2. Okay, what is that? Tell me, what is that? So you can easily see that R1 intersection R2, the set of common attributes, that is only A. Now you find what is the closure of A in this set of functional dependencies. Okay, here you find what is closure of A. What is closure of A? That will be AB. The closure of A will be AB. Now you can easily see that this A, okay, this A, this is actually super key in R2. Yes or no? So I can say this R1 intersection R2 is a super key in R2. Okay, so this is lossless. So this is lossless because the set of common attributes, that means A, that is super key in at least one of them. This A is super key in R2. So this is a lossless decomposition. Let's see the next decomposition, that is ABBC. The second decomposition, that is ABBC. Okay, again, what you will do, you will find what the set of common attributes R1 intersection R2, that is B. This is the set of common attributes. Now here in this set of functional dependencies, you find what is B plus. So B plus will be B only. Okay, so you can see that this B, this is not a super key in any of them. Okay, so I can say that this R1 intersection R2 is not a super key, is not a super key in R1 comma R2, any of them. Okay, so this is lossy. So this is a lossy decomposition. So the question is saying this is lossy, this is lossless. Yes, both are correct. So for this question, answer will be option C. Okay, is this clear? So that's it. These are all the UGC NET exam question from the normal forms. Each and every UGC NET exam previous year question from the normal forms I have taken, and I hope you loved this session. Did you understand each and every question? Please tell me. Did you learn something new from this session? Did you learn something new? There are some good, there are some very good questions in this session, and I hope you loved this session. So please press the like button and please share your review in the comments. Okay, thank you everyone.